Okay, we're good.
All right. So,
Okay, recording.
okay, so yeah, very good. Okay, so this is about animal communication. We're not going to go into details of how, like in class, but how it works. And to let you know who I am, I have been intuitive for ever since I can remember. And I always could hear animals when they were trying to communicate with us. And I thought everybody could do that as a child would. And I just kept, as you grow older, you have more experiences and you realize other people can't do it as well. But I would always want to help the animals that were trying to communicate with their people and try and fix whatever was going on. So that's kind of my background. I worked with and trained animals and dogs, cats, I know, um, horses, of course, a lot of horses, birds. I will help anything. I've even helped the wasp. So going on to what they're here to teach us.
Can
And
you turn up your volume just a tiny bit, Sherry?
I can try. I'm going to have to back down again. It's all the way to the top.
Oh, sorry.
I'll sit closer.
There you go. There you go. That's better.
Okay, good. Back to my. Let's see. How do I get back to where I was?
Okay. So just click on the.
Luckily, you're fine. Strange. I think I have to go here, back to here. Oh, I think I know what the problem is.
Sorry, I messed you up.
Oh, that did not work.
Ah.
All right, let me get down.
There you go.
Yes, but you see, I can't see my notes to myself. It's not in the slideshow. What happened?
So you do not want to leave the meeting. You want to cancel.
Yeah, I think this is what I need. There. No, I don't want to do that. See, I couldn't even see that. Okay, everybody, as you're looking at this picture of this little girl and this horse, if you allow yourself to be nice and calm and relaxed, and you look at the horse and the little girl, you can see that they are connected. You can tell that by the way the horse's ears are and his expression, his eyes. He knows she's a child. He knows he has to be careful of the foal. He knows that that she loves him. And if she starts to lead him, as you can see, she's got a lead in her hand, he or she will be very careful where she puts her feet and how she needs him to interact with her. So just from a picture, and I often work with pictures, we are able to do animal communication. And it's good if you can be with the animal, but I work with people halfway around the world, so sometimes it's not an option. I'll try to move the next one. There we go. This is my cat Mac, and he's very happy to help me out when I'm working with animals who might have problem behavior. And here's where one of the benefits of animal communication comes in, and that is that I can talk to the animal and find out what is bothering them, why they are having a hard time with this situation, whether they're acting out, they're not eating, if they're fighting, if they tear your house up when you're not there, or if they have aggressive behavior. So one of the things that can be, their behavior is predicated by how they are treated or have been treated, which can help us to understand what needs to happen to help them, especially if you have a rescue animal, you don't know anything about their background. There can also be other issues, like for instance, what's going on outside the house, especially at night, that is stressing him out. There's always a stressor. You need to find that. So it's a combination of the right questions to the owner if you can't go to the site, plus talking to the animal. They are always wanting to help us, and to them it's very clear. To us, it can be quite the opposite of the puzzle. So what you want to do when you're going to communicate with them is to go into a space where it's very peaceful.
Yeah, Sherry, can you keep moving closer to your mic? It's hard. We're having a hard time hearing you.
Okay.
There you go.
I'll move my mouse up so that I have to keep moving back for that. So now I'll be all right. So where was I? So you need to be aware. You need to be in a calm space in your own mind when you're going to connect with the animal. They're frequently in that space, not always. As you can see, Mac is in the picture. You want to tune in to the environment and the animal to notice what's happening before and after the behavior. What are they reacting to? They're listening. You want to listen to them and what they're telling you, but it's not going to be just as we would speak verbally. So their behavior is one of the keynotes. Also, the environment. Did you change something? Did you just give them a new dish and maybe they don't like it and they want the old one back? Did you change their bed? Also, if you have the animal communicator involved, then they can explain why. Maybe something happened to the previous item so that it was no longer usable. It can be that simple, and of course it can be much more complicated if they are not feeling well, or if they're missing someone, like someone in the household is left and they're grieving. So it's nice to be able to help them with that. And if it comes out as acting out behavior, then you need to do something that will help the animal with their grieving. And on top of that, the people in the house will be grieving as well. It's a change. And that is very much amplified to the pet by the people and their behavior as well. I don't know if any of you are on Facebook and you saw a picture of a cat who was focused on an iPhone, and the iPhone had a recording of its owner. And when it stopped, the cat lay down right on top of the phone because the owner had passed away. They do grieve, and there are ways to help them with this. So if anyone has questions about behavior, for instance, I can be more specific about what might possibly be involved. And sometimes it's just a matter of size or something simple that even the human can understand. I'm aware of a story of a cowboy who found out on the range a baby bison. And the bison, his feet were up in the air. I don't know what happened to the mother, neither this cowboy, but whatever. He scooped up this little baby, took him home in the house, and started feeding him. And of course, this bison was so young, it imprinted on him. And it grew. The bison was used to eating with the cowboy, watching TV with the cowboy, going anywhere with the cowboy. And so he thought, well, when she got big, he would just take her to a herd of bison and she'd be happier. Which sounds like a good idea, but again, you're not thinking like the animals are thinking. Whenever she saw a human, she would run to the human to get petted and interact with them. Bisons noticed this kind of behavior, and it made the whole herd charge toward the human. You see, this is not a desired effect. And so the cowboy took her home with him again and made an outside enclosure with a big bay window so that they could watch TV together. Again, he's not thinking, because of course she wanted to get closer and put her head through the window. So he had to come up with a way that you could watch TV without going through glass. I mean, it's simple, but you don't think of it as a human. So the more as an animal communicator you can widen your experience, you can widen your awareness to what's around you and therefore what's around the animal and what's going on with this behavior going to change, or maybe something that's already been happening a long time and you don't understand it. You've taken them to the vet and the vet hasn't found anything wrong with them, then that's where the communication with the pet becomes vital. And so a lot of veterinarians do this now. They're animal communicators as well as other alternative health treatments and so on. So that's another thing that you want to be aware of as an animal communicator. Because my questions first are mundane. What are they eating? So I know if they're giving them food that isn't going to help them be healthy. What's the water situation? Do they have fresh water all the time? And if they're eating out of the toilet, their water dish is, or drinking, out of the toilet, their water dish is probably filthy because it hasn't been changed in a very long time. So they go to the toilet because at least it's flushed all the time and somewhat, and of course, clean. So it's just simple things that can help you become more aware so that when it's a more difficult problem, you're ready to know what you need to look for in order to solve the problem. And of course, the first thing that I do, sorry, I sat back again, sorry about that. The first thing that I do is the basics, the mundane, before I get concerned with repeating a complicated behavior. So I ask, what's happening? What's going on? The tune is, and sometimes it's obvious. Like when a certain dog we all know was pulling a stress ball.
So Sherry, I don't mean to keep bugging you about the sound, but I can hear you, but there's still some sort of like rubbing against the microphone, or there's something.
Okay, hang on. I have a fan on. Let me turn it on. If I can.
Okay, that's probably what it is.
I have to keep the machine cool. So.
Okay. Sorry about that. But it definitely sounds like, something's rubbing up against the microphone. There we go.
Well, nothing's touching it that I know of. So hopefully that's
okay. Better. Thank you. Sorry.
Sure, no problem. I'd rather you say something.
Yeah, I just want everybody to be able to hear better.
Oh, and I didn't finish that other story where the owner had a stress on her counter or desk or whatever it was, and her dog kept grabbing it and running off with it. And she's like, I don't know why, because he never touches anything there, never, takes anything off of that shelf. But guess what the owner was? Stressed.
Yeah.
This dog was trying to make her laugh and do something to snap out of it. So it can be that simple. And here is Boris with Pam, encouraging her to laugh.
I think, it was you. I told you that Boris kept stealing. I got a stress ball from Dr. Phil. and Boris won't stop stealing it. He's constantly stealing my stress ball. So, yeah.
So anyway, so this is important too. When they are doing things that might annoy you, there's something very important behind it. You always want to check that. And Amy, I saw your dog wanting to. Is he doing? Yes. He likes this idea. So anyway, back to, let's see. The dog needs to have something to do as well. Mm-hmm. Where you can either do agility work, or it's not enough just to give them a walk so they can go to the bathroom. You have to do something with them that engages their mind, because contrary to popular, although probably everybody here doesn't think this, animals are quite intelligent. And so what I'd like to do is get into that a little bit. You want to
Now, why don't I have, there it is. Sorry, technical hiccup again. So if the person has a job that has them interact with dark places, the animal will always pull you out of it. I remember one day when I was crying about something, and my little parakeet, who was tiny, she was an American parakeet, little tiny girl, came over, flew onto my shoulder, started licking my cheek, which isn't easy since they have the minutest, tiniest little tongue, and said to me, "You're such a sweetheart," because she was learning language. Now, that is not something she said because it was a rote repetition of something that I would say to her. She understood the meaning behind it by trying to make me feel better. And I don't even remember now why I was crying, but I was pretty upset. So anyway, it's amazing how much they're aware of, and we don't realize how much they're noticing about us and our lives, because we're not noticing our lives either. So they're very good at this. There was a study done years ago about this fellow wanted to find out what breed of dogs were the most intelligent. And it made me laugh because, of course, he would approach this like a human and do the same exact thing for every breed. And the one thing that I noticed the most was a little basset hound. I mean, a small basset. And there was a cookie under a coffee can put on the ground. And they waited to see what the dog would do to get the biscuits. And she just sat down and was very patient because she knew her owner would go get it for her. He considered that a non-intelligent dog. And also my dog, instead of just bumping that over, would have very carefully, he was a Doberman, very carefully tilt it, pull the biscuit out, let the can down very softly, and not make a lot of noise or break anything. So, they have intelligence. And the more you can tune into an awareness of that, the more you can talk with them and, more importantly, hear what they're trying to tell you. Let's see.
Yeah, so I did have something to add there too, is
Go
that
ahead.
I've noticed this just in some of the mediumship work I've done when an animal came through, and I've noticed it with my own Boris when he's being naughty. Whenever Boris is naughty, it's because I'm either getting really stressed out or I am working too much, in his opinion. He decides it's time for me. He's really not subtle when he thinks that I need to take a break and I've been working too much. Mostly at night, he just decides it's time for me to close the laptop. But but animals that have come through to me when I was doing readings with people, Bob Olson's dog came through for me once, and they were talking about how they're always trying to get their people to work less, and they tried to encourage you to go out for a walk and go out and play and do this and that, because they were really trying to get us to stop working so much, or for us to laugh, or for us to lighten up a little bit. So that goes along with what Sherry's saying.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And they know how much we stress ourselves out because of our lives and what we have to do. And we're always in that flight or fight space without realizing how much we stay there. And what they're doing is trying to snap us out of it because they know it's going to kill us. Eventually they don't want that to happen. So, and I've even had animals, 2 rabbits that were veterinarians, and I had visited them. I was on a group class, and I had worked on one of the other pets. I don't remember now, or of her pets. I don't remember which, but we were also introduced to the animals interacting with the rabbits. Most of all, I remembered. And I really had a connection with them for whatever reason. And the next day or two, I was working on someone else's animal, and the rabbits showed up and asked if they could have a turn. And I said, sure. I said, you have to wait till I'm done with this. I was doing healing work. And so they will ask for it if they are aware of who you are and that you can help, which I find interesting too. So anyway, so Boris, Here is my oldest cat, Sabrina. And I just thought it was cute that looks like she's locked up for the information of this slide, which is that it's possible for the animal communicator to identify hidden needs and help you with alternative methods to help when the veterinarian has done all that they can. I always want you to go to a veterinarian with your animals and have them do their diagnosis and whatever they think needs to happen. But then on top of that, if it's still not working, there are other alternatives. So in their wish to help us cope with stress, they will take it on. Animals will take on whatever is going on for us because they love us and they don't want us to feel bad or be sick or any of these things. And so to learn what might be going on with your pet and the veterinarian isn't able to figure it out, also again, pay attention. What's happening? Has anything changed? How is your health? Are you taking care of your health? Are you treating yourself? They're very aware of this. So all this information can help you come together with what is happening and that what your pet is trying to tell you or get through to you. So they want to connect with you and they want you to understand and hear them because it makes their job easier, whatever it is they've decided their job is. And I have worked with some animal communicators that say that they don't think all animals have to have jobs. I'm not sure I agree with that because they're much happier when there's activity there they can be involved in because they get bored. It's not, and then that's another reason for the behavior issues to start. And if you're wanting to know or even help the animal communicator, but to know yourself as well, it could be something simple that you can fix right away. And if you're not sure if that's really what it is, because, we'll get these impressions from animals and then we'll think we made them up. Maybe, maybe not. Well, how do you find out? If you took away their favorite dish and now they won't eat, put the favorite dish back. Do they eat? There's your answer. It can be that simple. So nutrition is another thing that's very important that I often go into with people because there's food and then there is food, just like for us. So that can be making their pet have problems or issues as well as what's going on around your house at night or other animals going by the house, stressing your pet because there's a possible territorial issue going on here in their mind. You wouldn't think it would mean anything, but to the cat or the dog, it could mean a lot. And so you need to find that out. You need to see what's going on around your house at night. And if you're a person who sleeps at night, then get some kind of video set up so you can look and rent it if you can, just so you can find out. And then you'll know this is an issue. And there are ways to prevent those animals from coming through without hurting them in any way, of course. That will take the stress away from your pet and they'll stop urinating all over the house or whatever it is that they're doing. Yeah, that's one of the common ones because they're marking territory. If they're marking territory, why? Why do they feel they have to defend their territory? Who's threatening it? And you ask the animal. You also pay attention to what's obvious that you can fix. And all of a sudden, the problem's gone. So let me see here. I think you'll get a chuckle out of this next one. What are they and we really capable of? Whatever we need and they want to help us. Can everybody see this all right so they can read it? Okay. Now, it may not be web design, but they are capable of doing a lot more with us than we realize. And, there are many stories for people that are in senior residences or in nursing homes or in hospitals where the people bring in their animals and it helps people feel better. They take less medication for depression. A lot of their meds are reduced greatly just by the presence of animals. Why don't we let them be that way for us in our home? Because they're there to help us and make us feel better and to love. So it's a wonderful opening of my own awareness to realize how much they really can do. I think that the more we open up our own willingness to be aware and to accept those insights that we get, and if you're not sure if it's imagination or if it's insight, then document it, write it down, and watch what happens and see where it goes. Then you'll start to learn what is the difference between, thanks, Boris, between the imagination or something you make up versus something that you're actually becoming aware of that's related to your pet.
Actually, I have a comment about that too.
Go right ahead. Go right ahead.
So, I don't do animal communication all the time, but I've been practicing and trying to work with Boris some, and I've taught him to show me what he wants in pictures, like to show me in my mind the picture. So I'll ask him, where do you want to go today? Because we make the rounds to the beach, the park, different places. And
Sure.
so I'll ask him where he wants to go and to show me in my mind what place he wants to go, where he wants to go. And vice versa. There's a lot of times I don't ask and I just have a clear idea in my mind where I'm going to take him. And we head out the door and he knows, he goes right in that right direction to where I had intended. So I play that game with him, like, show me in a picture, show me the picture in my mind where you want to go, and I'll show you the picture of where I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm. That's great. And it's that simple. I'm going to talk in a little more detail about that. I think it's the next slide. But yes, it is that easy, and it's not limited to just a visual image. Because some people say, well, I never see pictures. That's fine. You get a feeling. You get a sensation physically, like that, the dog has a hurt foot or something, and then when he comes home or you're looking at him, you can see the injury. You knew that it was there. So it can be any of those things. Let me go see if I have the. And this is Adobe that I helped, who his owner didn't really know how to teach him to interact with humans in a calm way and a safe way. So we worked with the obedience training that I do, that's always in mind of how the dog thinks and how the dog perceives the world. And then I also encourage them, if they're not doing, if walking isn't enough for the dog, enough exercise, because she would take him on long walks, then they needed more, and so we started doing agility work. There's always something you can do. And I have seen the most wonderful video of a little girl with her kitten. Her father built outside an agility course for her and her kitten, and she used treats, just like people do with dogs, and that cat would go over the entire course, all the jumps, the weave poles, everything.
Wow.
I was astonished. And then she would dance in the house, and the cat would stand on her feet, and they'd dance together, and she would do all sorts of things. So you're not limited. Neither are they. And this is a good place to have imagination, that you can come up with these things. So, and here's my cat. Oh no, we're not there yet. Sorry. So the animals know when you're listening to them, and they want to interact with you. And I'm sure that any of you out there who are listening and have pets are aware of this. And every time I was at the barn and I leaned over on the half door to watch the horses out in the pasture, Bonnie the barn cat would always come over and join me. And it's a space, again, where you're quiet, you're peaceful, and you're just paying attention to what's around you, like you would in a meditation. if you're paying attention to breathing or whatever you're using. It's the same idea. And this is my horse, Merlin, and my brother-in-law's dog. She would come out with me when I went to the horse, as did my Doberman. So, you can always interact. There's always things you can do. One of the things my Doberman loved was when I was schooling my horse in the ring, it was the other side of it was a big pasture, and he loved the Frisbee. So I would throw the Frisbee. We'd keep working. He'd run out, get it, bring it back, put his front paws up on the top of the fence so I could reach it, give me the Frisbee back, and then I'd wing it out over my horse's head again. And I explained first to the horse what I was doing, and he was cool. He had no problems with me throwing that Frisbee out like that. And I will say, too, unfortunately, like athletes, it turned out he had cardiomyopathy. And so one day he was fine, and in a minute, gone. And for a couple of weeks after that, Merlin would keep stopping and say, "Where's Cody?" And he was grieving and I was grieving. We were doing it together, which is another good thing to be aware of, to grieve with your animals. If anything has happened where you are all grieving, commiserate in that, so that hiding grief is always unhealthy. And that's even for your pets. So, always important.
I don't think you can anyway. They know.
Of course. Yeah. But I mean, the humans hiding it in that they're not sharing it with their pet or with anyone else in the household maybe, and they want you to. So they're going to work on you to do that. So that's what's happening. This is my cat who likes to help me when I'm at my desk doing computer work. And his foot is on what? A mouse. He knows what's going on here. And apparently he thought I should take a break.
Yeah.
So and then here's another example of animals and how they can interact. My horse, I had to teach him to ground tie because he would rip cross ties right out of the wall. And I'm talking heavy bolts, everything. And I was afraid somebody was going to get hurt. So he was ground tied in the barn aisle, and this puppy came flying in from the neighbors and started playing with the rope. And so Merlin knows that he's supposed to stand still when he's not a ground tie, and he's looking at me like, what do I do now? And I said, be very careful. No stepping on puppies, and you can go with him. So you can see how far back he is in this picture, and how his ears are out to the sides, his eyes are soft, he knows it's a baby, and he's being very careful, and he's letting the puppy play with him. So these are things that are possible. I could have grabbed the puppy and said, oh my God, the horse is going to kill him, and not allowed the interaction. But my horse was trained, and I knew that he would hear me when I said what he could and couldn't do, and he asked me. He knew better than to move if I hadn't said it was okay. So, pardon?
No.
Okay. I thought someone asked something. All right. So, now again, look at this picture. What is she saying to you when you're looking at this picture? I mean, even if you didn't read what I said on the side there, you can see that she's bright, alert, and she's talking. She's asking for something. This is easy to see in the expression of their face. You're going to hear it. Some people will hear it in their head. It's more audio than it is visual. That's another possibility. And she knows I'm going to listen to her, and she's anticipating. It could be a treat. Being a dog could be a treat, could be a walk, could be a ride. It could be getting in her lap. She doesn't care. It's all good, So, and this is my dog who would go to the agility classes with that Doberman you saw earlier. And she would sometimes jump over his jumps instead of waiting till I put them back down. So even small dogs need something to do. They need to be able to interact with their owners in multiple ways, not just in the lap or being ignored while the owner is working or whatever. So don't forget them as well. It's all important. And like I said, I have interacted even with a wasp. She needed to eat. I gave her something to eat. She got a little overzealous and then got covered in foam when I wasn't home, and I had to get her out of it and clean her up and help her recover. She did pass out, but she came back to a little later. I mean, I could talk to her, I could explain to her what was going on. She was very appreciative. So it doesn't matter. We're connected to everything as human beings, especially with animals of any type. When you want to talk to them, now where are my notes? I seem to be missing. Up a slide. Hold on a minute. That's odd. Well, that's all right. Luckily, I know what I wrote, so I'll just get back to it. Sorry about that. So for transitioning your pets, again, you can talk to them, find out what they want. My horse was 3 months shy of 33 years old.
Wow.
And I asked him what he wanted. And I also had my friend who's an animal communicator also check with him, because the most difficult animals to talk to are our own, because we're emotionally connected to them. You can do it. You just have to make sure you're calm and in that peaceful space in order to do it. And also, if you're very practiced at it, it's not so difficult. So I asked him what did he want, and then I followed through with it. Even when the veterinarian was giving him the shots, he knew what was going on. So instead of jumping around, he just stood there. And she let me hold him because she knew that he would behave for me, because he was aware of what was going on. There was no need for him to be hysterical. So I took him to the lawn and let him eat on the grass, which normally wasn't allowed, but the owner said, go ahead. And I mean, the owner of the property. He was facing his buddies out in the pasture. And as an animal communicator, I can connect to the other side as well. So I had my horse friends that had passed be there waiting for him. And it's not hard to set all this thing up. If it's a smaller animal and they have toys, a favorite bed, whatever, it's beautiful to have what they want done, just like for a human who plans their own how they want everything done when they're going to pass. And I can then, of course, also talk to them when they have passed. If the owner's concerned about them, if they're okay, what's going on, that kind of thing. So these are all things that are possible when you do communicate with your own animals. Are there any questions yet?
You guys can type them, and then I'll unmute you if you have a question.
No questions. Okay.
You sure? No questions? You guys are all.
Well, it is important to remember that this communication is done in a variety of ways, in terms of, it doesn't have to be a picture, it doesn't have to be a specific set. You pay attention to the animal and what they send to you, and it can be a feeling or an emotion, a physical issue. All of things are really important to be aware of, and all of it's possible. if you have a question in your own mind, try it and see if it works and make a note of it so that you remember, okay, this did work. I can see the dog up on the window. He's wanting to ask something. Let me see. Right here. I'll take questions from animals too.
That's
SDB.
who is it? Who should I unmute?
SDB. I see at the right next to you, Pam, and she's got a little dog on the back of the couch.
There we go.
Okay, and is it a Chihuahua?
He's a deerhead Chihuahua.
And he was happy about. I'm sorry, she happy about. Wait a minute. Did you have a dog before her?
Oh yeah, I've had many dogs before her.
Okay, then there's a male near her as well. And they are very appreciative of you as their owners.
Yes.
I'm trying to get back to her and what she was starting to ask me there. Oh, is there something about changing her treats? Did you give her different treats or something?
We've tried different treats. She
Oh, she wants me to tell you about, okay. Are you familiar with freeze-dried treats?
I've seen them.
Okay, because it has animal muscle, cells, bones, tissue. It's like a complete nutrition.
Okay.
You can get those. It's Stella and Chewy's.
Okay.
If you're having trouble finding it, just message me afterwards, and I'll send you the picture of the bag. I have Duck and Rabbit, my dogs. Oh, she likes Rabbit. She liked that. If you could just give them a little piece of these patties, and and use them as treats because they are expensive. What did you say, Pam?
She's totally looking at the camera. It's so funny.
Yeah, and she really would like. There's something going on with her where that food is going to help her. Do you give her canned food and dry?
No, only dry.
Okay, this is part of the issue. I see what you're saying, little one. Because that doesn't give her any protein. Did you know that?
Well, that's what I've heard, yeah.
Yeah, veterinarians have researched it and found their body digests it as carbohydrates only. Often the protein source is soy, too, which isn't even, it's not their type of protein. So it's important to give her better nutrition. It's like you're giving her cake and ice cream all the time instead of food when you give just dry. Yes?
Oh, I just wanted to ask you a question when you were done.
Okay, does it have grain in it, the food you're giving her?
Probably.
Yeah, and that's also deadly. I'll tell you why. When they have grain in their food, they don't eat grain naturally. And it sits in their gut for 15 hours. Because dogs are carnivores, they're meant for that food to go through their intestinal tract quickly. They digest it quickly. They move on quickly. And when you put that grain in their food, it sits there all that time and it does not give them good health. And it's also not enough moisture for them. It's much better to give them canned and dry food if you're going to give them both. I mean, dry food, not just the dry food. And what I do with the patties I was talking about, very good, I sprinkle some of the freeze-dried food that's really complete nutrition and no grain, like if they ate a mouse or an animal out in the wild. And I sprinkle it on top of the canned food, and you watch how their coat changes for the better, how their digestion changes for the better. Everything gets better. Did I say enough for them? Is there anything else you want me to add?
I had a question I just wanted to ask.
Sure.
We just acquired a cat that had been abandoned, but it's a Bengal cat, and they're very special cats. They're more like dogs, and she's just really unhappy with us. I mean, she's like a wild cat. Like one day she'll be friendly and the next day, and she still hisses at the dogs. So I don't know if there's one thing we can do to make her feel comfortable.
There's a lot of things that she's going to need. Does she have a lot of places she can go up?
Well, we're working on that. She likes to go up. We're working on, she brings back things. She's like a dog. You can toss a piece of paper and she'll bring it back.
Oh, good. That's good.
Yeah, and we were told to work on, treat her like a dog as far as agility exercises and that kind of thing. So we're going to do all that. It's just, it's sort of like she determines everything. Like, I want to be friendly now, and that's the only time she's friendly,
She's like a wild animal, not a domestic. You have to give her time. You have to move slowly around her like a prey animal, so you're not creating a pull for her to become predatory.
Okay.
When you pet her, do it slowly and don't overdo it. She can, I'm sure, very easily.
You can't, yeah. Yeah.
And when you do, if you're going to touch her, do it slow and easy. There's no threat. A predator moves fast. Humans move fast. Prey, slow and cautious unless they're running for their lives. Then they're going very fast. So you have to have, and the more you are in your peaceful space inside, and you're just moving in a slow flow, like slow motion almost, the calmer she will be.
Okay.
And the quieter. And you want to have a lot of upper shelves or cat trees that are strong enough for her, and keep them replaced when she shreds stuff, because you're keeping her from being able to do that by keeping her in a house. So you have to replace that stuff, like trees, dirt, grass, that kind of stuff. Also, with the diet, make sure you are giving her food, giving her meat, not grain.
I know cats just eat meat.
Yeah. Well, they'd eat a mouse. That's bone, tissue, muscle, some blood. They get their moisture out of it, the whole works. The freeze-dried food has all of that, except that it's dry. So that's why I say sprinkle it on top of the canned food.
Okay.
And you will see a difference immediately, as your little dog is thanking me profusely. She's tiny. She has a high metabolism. She needs to have the type of food that's for her, not just the dry food.
Yeah. Well, we'll take care of that.
And if you need help, my information is up there for you, for anyone who needs to contact me.
Okay.
And so, sure, you're very welcome. And what's her name?
Her name is Tika. She came from a domestic violence situation, rescued her. I have another one that I rescued. She's sitting over here. She's highly jealous of this little one, but she's just emotional girl. That's just her makeup. So, and then we have the cat.
All right. Well, that's quite a combination. She could.
Yeah.
Make sure you're aware of that. You have to be paying attention, and you're not leaving those dogs where the cat can get at them when you're not home.
Well, I'm usually home with them. We're together all the time.
Keyword there is usually. I'm just warning you, when you're not, be sure you do something. Okay.
Uh-oh. Are you guys frozen? Oh no.